I had been in every branch of government. I'd worked in the judicial branch of government, federal government. I'd worked in the legislative part of the federal government. And we didn't talk about this. After I worked for Sharon, I worked for Bill Clinton in his administration as the Deputy Secretary of Commerce. So I'd done every branch of government, federal government, and I had done local government, pretty high ranking in local government as the city administrator. So, and I worked in the private sector at a law firm. I'd worked at a big, large corporation, the largest corporations in their sector. Pfizer was the largest drug company. United Healthcare, the largest insurance company. What else do you do? Sort of what's your second, third, or fourth act? Where I had never worked, though I had served as a board member, was in the nonprofit sector. I thought I really wanted to work at a university as a chief operating officer or chief administrative officer at a university. It was one of the things I thought about doing. And I also thought about working for a nonprofit. What got me first was a nonprofit, and that's why I ended up at Africare.
And had you a special interest in the continent?
Always had a special interest in Africa. When I worked for Pfizer, a part of my portfolio was a number of programs and medicine access programs for emerging and low-income economies.
When did your love of art develop? How did that start in you?
I bought my first original piece of art when I was 19 years old, and I bought it from my West African history professor by the name of Carrie Wynn. And it was a scriptural piece, and it says, "I press on towards the mark." I was in college, and I bought it in 1977, I think. And, you know, it's pretty battered now, but I've had it framed, and I've never gotten it restored because I kind of want to remember it as when I first bought it, I was attracted to it, really liked it, but I didn't take care of it right away because I was moving, I was in college, I was in law school, but I kept it. And that was my first piece of original art, and I said, you know, I kind of like that. And I bought another piece when I first moved to Washington from the Evans-Tibbs collection, the late Thurlow Tibbs. And, you know, for a while I collected posters I liked. And then I said, no, I got to get to the real thing. And I just, when I travel, you know, some people go shopping. I go shopping, but I go art shopping. You know, art speaks across cultures. It speaks all languages. Love, beauty, color, passion. Easy to fall in love with art. And I fell hard.
When you moved here, what was the art scene like in the district?
You know, it's funny. When I moved here, I'd gotten to know a couple of artists. Lois Mailou Jones was an artist I had met on the vineyard. I met her there, she was what, I mean, and Lois Mailou Jones, you know, was an incredibly fine artist. And she would tell me places to go. I could never afford some of those things. Then I met Thurlow Tibbs at the Evans-Tibbs collection and talked to him about art. And I was on the art committee at Kay Scholler at the law firm I worked. And I convinced them that they should buy African-American art from Thurlow Tibbs. And he furnished that firm with a lot of the art they had. And I was very proud of that. That was one of my big accomplishments, to get the firm. They were looking for art for the walls. And they bought, I think, all African-American artists. Now, they didn't know they bought all African-American artists, but they did.